So we do have confirmation that Song of the South won't be on Disney Plus, but we also have confirmation of something a little bit more concerning, to say the least. Hey everyone, this is Kevin T. Rodriguez, film critic of iCritic.net, and there's this news story that came out that frustrated me on two levels. It frustrated me because, first of all, I was making a video about what we will probably not see on the Disney Plus streaming service. I was about 10 to 15% done of editing that one, and then the news hit, and it not only confirmed some things that I knew wouldn't be on anyway, but there was enough new information that basically I have to scrap that video and rethink the whole thing. Maybe the first version will be an exclusive to Patreon members. I don't know. I don't like giving out bad information if I don't have to, or if I'm aware that the information's outdated. The other reason the news concerned me is because it highlights something that I consider to be a very, very big potential problem, and why you should not be giving up buying discs anytime soon. And well, here's it is. Exclusive. Song of the South and Jim Crow scene in Dumbo will not be on Disney Plus, with a subtitle, Disney Plus won't go unedited. Now, the first thing about that doesn't surprise me too much. Of course it disappoints me. Not because I'm necessarily a fan of big racist old Disney era movies. I don't think Song of the South is as offensive as some people consider it to be, but it's also not as good as other people want to pretend it is. Basically, it was an average movie that hasn't aged well at all. Perfectly, I think you should be able to keep it for historical purposes, and I believe that hiding it from the world is giving this movie way too much credit in any direction. Because again, obviously, the African Americans are shown as fairly happy people, and it's a little unclear whether they're slaves or not, and all that jazz. But it's also, compared to other racist movies I've seen, like Birth of a Nation, Soul Plane, White Chicks, it's not nearly as offensive or racist. Transformers 2, that's another one I was thinking of. I think it's just an average movie. Not surprised it's not on the Disney service, but I was a little concerned when I read this, and Jim Crow scene in Dumbo will not be on Disney Plus. So let's look at this. Song of the South will not be featured in Disney's new streaming service, Disney Plus, according to a source close to the situation. And again, not surprised. The Jim Crow scene in 1941's Dumbo will also be edited out for the digital library that launches November 12th. Now, see, this is what I really have an issue with. Now, there's some things you should know about this. First of all, I love Dumbo. Dumbo was actually the first movie I ever saw, at least the first one I remember seeing. And then I think I saw Pinocchio, and then I saw Sleeping Beauty. I think after that was Robin Hood, and then it gets a little bit murkier about what I saw in order. But Dumbo left a huge impression on me. It launched my love of movies. It launched my love for Disney. It launched my love for animation, especially when I saw some live action movies later on, and was always confused about why scenes that I was supposed to cry in during the live action movies didn't make me cry as much as the scene in Dumbo where he's saying goodbye to his mother. For the long time, because of that movie, I felt animation was the far superior form of filmmaking. Still do to a certain extent. There's some very, very good live action movies, but there's nothing live action can do that you can't also do in animation. So I'm just going to put that out there. Why are they so problematic? Song of the South got Disney an Oscar for Best Song in 1948 and an E-ticket attraction. Dumbo was just remade for a new generation. So here's the thing. I'm not going to go over Song of the South because we kind of know all about that. And it's not even what I'm concerned about. Dumbo, on the other hand, while it was reimagined by Tim Burton in a film that debuted a few weeks ago, one scene from the original film did not make the cut. In the film, Dumbo meets a group of crows who give him a feather to fly. The leader of the group is named Jim Crow, a reference to the racist laws that allowed segregation until 1965. Jim Crow the Crow even walks like the Jim Crow character used in the time period. And there you can see, a little disturbing when you put it side by side. You can definitely understand what the problem is there. The Walt Disney Company has declined to comment at this time. Now, here's the thing. Walt Disney has not confirmed whether or not the scene is getting edited or not. But if it is edited, then we have a huge problem. We have actually potentially hundreds of big problems. Not because I necessarily, again, when you look at it side by side, yeah, that's not a good look. And yeah, the Jim Crow cartoon character was named after a very offensive and horrible time period, and is, even moved like this pretty bad looking character. I'm not going to defend that. I'm not for censorship though. I know a lot of people just watch movies for entertainment. I watch movies for entertainment and history. I believe movies have the power to put us into other people's shoes, to let us live their lives for a day or two. In some cases, it even helps us understand our history. One of the best documentaries I've ever seen is called The Gay Celluloid. And it is a movie where they look at the history of the LGBT community through the eyes of Hollywood and Hollywood movies. And what kind of movies were they in? What was the attitudes towards those types of characters? When were the first breakthroughs where they could be this way, that way? And I think it only went up to like 1995 or something, because it's actually a fairly old movie. But the fascinating thing about that movie and what it taught me is that through film, you can see your history playing out, what the world thought of you and me. And I think that is something we should not give up. By editing this image, you are, in a sense, erasing part of history, as ugly as it is. Now, I do want to point out that despite the name and despite what The Crow is obviously modeled after, and I'm sure there's some African Americans who might watch this, and you can feel free to disagree with me on this. I totally will understand. But this cartoon character did not give me a negative view of black people when I was a kid, partially because I didn't realize it was a caricature, and partially because the Crows are good guys. Heck, I've seen this movie enough times to know that, frankly, except for the mouse, the Crows are the only characters in the movie to learn a lesson in this. I mean, granted, Timothy Mouse never shunned Dumbo, but the Crows shun Dumbo. They make fun of him. They have that song that insults him. And they're the only ones who learn their lesson and realize it was wrong. And they help him not because they have to or because they're his servant, just because it's the right thing to do. So they're good guys. As far as racist characters go, and again, I'm not going to deny that this isn't one. It's one of the nicer ones, if that's a thing. It probably isn't, but So I've never had an issue with the Crows personally, but again, I understand why people object to them. But, we live in an era where people aren't watching movies for historical context. They're not watching them to learn about their past per se. In fact, disturbingly, we seem to be getting more and more into a period where we want to take movies off store shelves and off streaming services that are problematic. And when people do bad things, we want to forget it ever happened. So that's probably what's happening here. Now, I don't know to the extent at which Dumbo has been edited. I think it would be very, very difficult to completely remove this character. They might find a way so that his name, Jim Crow, isn't used. Maybe they'll overdub it. I don't know. Maybe they will remove a couple of these poses. Now I'm actually really curious to see on the streaming site what actually happens. But we just don't know. We do not know. But that also raises the question, what about Disney's other movies? Those old vintage classic cartoons. Are they going to be touched? Is Steamboat Willie going to have to be edited because there is chewing tobacco and Mickey is pulling on a cat's tail or playing with the pigs, mother pigs, Will that have to be taken out? Is Jim Hawkins not allowed to be shot in Treasure Island? Is the black cauldron, when it's brought alive, going to have the blood that's dripping out of it removed? What about Pinocchio? Disney has taken a very strong anti-tobacco stance. Is the scene where Pinocchio's smoking and being called a jackass over and over, is that going to be altered? Is Cruella de Vil no longer going to have her cigarette? What about the Hunchback of Notre Dame? Is that not going to be on the streaming service because of the recent fire at Notre Dame, Paris? And will this movie now not be considered good to watch until the cathedral's rebuilt? That could be a very, very long time. I'm concerned right now what this means overall. And granted, some people have mentioned that for a long time, Dumbo had the racist characters that Disney was comfortable admitting they had, and there's some truth to that. Apparently, they're not so comfortable anymore, so they're going to start editing the film. Well, first of all, I can tell you right now, see this on the shelf? Buy it, because this is not censored, and no one's going to come to your house and take it away from you. That's for sure. But again, this is also concerning because it means that I think censored sequences in Make Mine Music and Melody Time will continue to remain censored. Like, what if the bar scene in Beauty and the Beast becomes problematic? Are they going to change the color of the beer to dark brown and overdub LeFou saying root beer instead of more beer? I'm concerned about where this might head. I don't agree with censorship. I also acknowledge, though, that Disney Plus is not being made for people like me. It's being made for the general film going public, and this is something I will address in that upcoming video, things that I expect won't be on Disney Plus. And this is why I have to remake the video, because now I have to take this into consideration. Is Disney going to start butchering their history because the general public who's on Twitter doesn't like it? And if they're not going to release discs that are uncut anymore, that have historical context put into these movies, then what does that mean for Disney's history? As ugly as these images are, I don't want Disney's history to be lost. That's why I defend releasing Song of the South or finding a way to release it. And I don't agree with keeping it out of the public eye, even though it has some very serious problems. And even though it's, at the end of the day, not an entirely good movie. But maybe this is where it's going. I don't know. So, yeah, I'm going to ask you guys, and I'm going to ask you to be mature about it, because people have very strong feelings about this. And again, I understand why some people might disagree with me. And if you do disagree with me, I do welcome your feedback, as long as you keep it civil. But yeah, I'd love to know. So comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe. If you enjoy my videos, consider becoming a Patreon member. It's totally optional, but even as little as $1 a day goes a long way to helping the channel run smoothly, and you get access to my Patreon's exclusive blog. And if you want to save money on gas, check out the Get Upside app below. It's free. You will save money on gas with every purchase. And as always, flame responsibly. Like, really, flame responsibly and treat each other nice in the comments. It's a sensitive topic. We can be civil to one another. Have a good one.